Hey everyone, I wanted to do a video or multiple videos on why you should heal your digestive system. So it's going to be a 4-part series. So it's going to take 4 weeks. So I'll do one every week. And the whole purpose or the meaning behind this is I personally think that it is so empowering and gives you a sense of control when you have knowledge, right? Because knowledge is power. And so when you know more about something that is going on with you that, is not right, so all of these symptoms that you're feeling or you're having or experiencing, if you kind of know why they might be happening, I think it really allows you, the access to start taking action to actually change or fix it, right? Because it's really hard to change or fix something when you're kind of unsure of what or how or why it even works. So to have a basic understanding or basic knowledge behind this is super empowering and super important. And that's kind of what I wanted to give to you. So the first part that we're going to talk about today is part 1. And it really is going into the connection between your digestive system and the rest of your body. And then how that plays a role in prevention or preventative measures. So I'm excited. I'm super excited to talk about this. I love talking about this particularly because this is kind of the background that I have as far as education. I have a biology degree. So with that being said, you probably should be warned a little bit that I'll touch a little bit on biology and science and all that sort of stuff. So I promise you that I do not get overly scientific or overly biological or anything, right? I do my absolute best to break it down into terms that everybody can kind of understand. Because trust me, I completely understand that, reading that stuff and understanding, how your body works and stuff can be really complicated. Mainly because of the language that people use, right? It's very scientific, and most people don't know what that is, right? It's like reading a whole nother language or learning a whole nother language. You're like, what? So, with that being said, I promise I'll do my best. So, I think the first thing that we should know when talking about the connection that your digestive system has with the rest of your body is talking about what the role of your digestive system is, right? So in the most basic, simplest form, which is exactly what it is, it's very simple and very basic of what it actually does, is it metabolizes your food so that it can be used to sustain the rest of your body or the rest of your life, right? And what I mean by metabolism, when you metabolize things, it's really about breaking something down into something smaller, something more usable or readable. So for the purpose of being really blunt and flat out and kind of very transparent, I'm going to use the example of having a paragraph, right? So you have a paragraph, it has multiple sentences in it. So what metabolism does is it takes that paragraph and it breaks it down into one sentence. And then it could also then break it down into one word, right? So taking that message into a smaller message into a smaller message. And so that's literally what the role of your digestive system is breaking things down or breaking the food that you eat down so then it can be relayed on to the rest of your body as a message to do this or to do that or, do whatever it is that the message may be. So then now we know the role of what the digestive system is, then how does that connect to the rest of your body? And it does so by really understanding the connection or really understanding the role the rest of your body kind of has. So the main one being your circulation or your blood. And this serves as a purpose of communication, right? So your these messages or these sentences that kind of got broken down need a way to kind of travel around to get, from your digestive system to your muscles, or to get to your other organs like your heart or lungs or whatever, right? So circulation, or your blood, being the first way that it's connected, and it's connected very, very directly, right? Like you have blood vessels, right? So your arteries and veins, you have them everywhere. Like that's why when you cut yourself, you bleed. It's because you're cutting open, you're kind of splitting open these like capillaries, really, but your veins and your arteries and all of these. So that's the first and foremost way that it's connected to the rest of your body, is through your circulation, or like the messaging house, right? Or the messaging center. Another one is your immune system. So your immune system, what does your immune system do? It protects you, right? It allows you to stay healthy and vibrant in the way that you are, but it only does that when it's given the proper messages. And a little hint or a little tip, which is super like awesome and amazing, and I love it, is that 80% of your immune system is found in your digestive system. Like, what? 80%? That's a pretty big number to have. So then it kind of makes you think that, like, why is like all of these protective little, like guys hiding out in your digestive system? Like, there has to be a very important reason, and there is. Outside of your skin, because your skin is the biggest thing that is connected to the outside world, the next biggest thing would be your mouth, right? If you think about it, when you open your mouth, you ingest something and it goes down and it goes into your digestive system. So this is the direct link from the outside world to your inner world. So the outside world, as we know, can be filled with viruses and bacteria and all sorts of stuff. And so when you're even like when you're eating stuff, right? Like they're the fruit or the vegetable or whatever that you're eating could be coated with something that could be really harmful to you. And so when you eat it and it goes into your system, your immune system is there, your immune cells are there to kind of like say, nope, like, sorry, like, good try, but you're not getting past me. That's exactly what it does. So that's why there's 80% of your immune system is found in your digestive system, is because it is a direct link to the outside world. And the outside world is full of scary germs. That's plain and simple. So that's the connection between your digestive system and your immune system. So now what about your endocrine system, or your hormone system? So your hormones are messages or messengers themselves, right? So they get these messages or these sentences that tell them to do something. And then they themselves then are like, okay, let me go do that. Boom, right? One of them being insulin. We all know insulin, right? Or at least we've heard of insulin. Insulin is in charge of unlocking the function in your cell to allow glucose or energy or sugar, however you want to think about it, into the cell so it can provide it with energy or provide it with the sugar or the glucose that it needs. So what you eat then gets broken down, and let's say that it gets broken down into a little message that says, use for energy. So then as soon as it, gets provided that message, your insulin that's produced from your pancreas, which is something you don't really need to know, but it gets produced and it's like, okay, awesome. Like something needs to be used for energy. That means I need to kind of tag along because I'm needed for this. So that is a huge, one of the biggest ways that, or easiest ways that you can think of the link between your digestive system and your hormone system is that one in particular. But there's so many other examples behind that. There's just hundreds and hundreds of hormones, and you don't want to sit here and read off a bunch, want me to read off a bunch of hormones and what they do and whatnot. That's just not fun. So that's the basic understanding, right? Is that it relays the message to another messenger, then that messenger has a very specific function like allowing the glucose to enter your cell, right? That's really what it is. It's allowing the message to get to the messenger and for the messenger to then carry out the rest of the function or the rest of whatever it needs to do. Oh my God, so interesting. Okay. The last one that I want to talk about is your nervous system. And your nervous system is different, or it's the only one that's not really going to be related to the circulation system. So your nervous system is the other way or the other communication style or communication system that your body has, right? And we all know that as being your brain, right? Your brain and your spinal cord have nerves, right? These are what makes up the nervous system, is these nerves, and the nerves are then made up of neurons, which is just a fancy word for saying nerve cell. So what does this have to do then with your digestive system? Well, your gut has a direct link to your brain. And we know that your brain is in control of your movement, how you breathe, when you talk, when you blink, your sight, like everything, right? Like we know it is control of everything. Well, your gut has a direct link through something called the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is the communication between your gut and the brain. So it's a nerve that runs this way, obviously, right? That just makes sense. And so it communicates. So when the message or the sentence is saying, like it needs your brain to do something, it sends that message through the vagus nerve into your brain, and your brain then is like, okay, I'm going to take care of this. Like, I got it. So that's one way that it's super vital to the connection one way that it's connected, that they're connected. Another way is through the 200 million neurons that are going on in your gut. Your gut has 200 million nerve cells in it. That is a lot, right? And they're there for the reason that that vagus nerve, right? Like your digestive system has a direct link to your brain, and your brain has the direct link to your digestive system. So it's super important there. It carries out so many of its functions. It's what's called your second brain, which I know I did a post on before. So your second brain is your gut, because it has 200 million neurons in it, and because it has that vagus nerve. And because with that, the last portion of it is neurotransmitters. Fancy word for another messenger like hormones, one of them being serotonin. I think serotonin is really, really, really well known, mainly because it's kind of seen as the feel-good or the well-being, happy neurotransmitter. And 95% of serotonin is actually made or produced in your gut. Crazy. I mean, there's other neurotransmitters that are then not only made in your brain, which is so interesting. It's so interesting. Because we used to only think that, right? We used to only think that everything was made in your brain because your brain was the housing center of your nervous system. Didn't think that there was a whole other nervous system going on in your gut. But there is. So that's the connection between the two, and it's a very direct connection, and it's a very important connection. They all are very important, don't get me wrong. So those are really the main ones, the main ways in which that your digestive system is connected to the rest of your body. So boom, got that done. You know the role of your digestive system, and you know the connection between your body. So I think the last portion would then be, why does this matter? Like, why did I just spew off a whole bunch of stuff at you that you're like, cool, great. Like, I kind of got a biology class done. It matters for prevention of disease and illness. And that is super important to keep in mind, because when one system is out of balance, or when one system, body system I'm talking about, isn't working, then they all aren't going to be working properly, because your body was designed to work in harmony and in sync with itself. So it's meant for, your brain to be connected to your gut, and your gut to be connected to your circulation system. And it's meant to do all of that stuff, right? Like, it was designed specifically for that. So when one isn't working, the rest of them aren't going to be working. And when one isn't working and the rest of them aren't working, that's when disease and illness occurs. So all of these being linked to, the link between gut-related illnesses and diseases to the rest of your body, because of that connection that it has, is IBS, leaky gut, cancer, heart disease, liver disease, arthritis, obesity, diabetes, absorption issues, so many, right? Those would be the most severe that you can think of. So that's what happens when you kind of ignore the less severe symptoms, or the less severe warning signs that your body is giving off to you. And so those less severe ones are, drumroll, your symptoms. All of the symptoms that we've been talking about, or that I've been talking about, or I tell you about, or the whole reason why you joined the group anyways, is because of those. So the constipation, the bloating, the anxiety, the yeast infections, the brain fog, I said constipation, I meant chronic fatigue, skin rashes, all of that, right? So those are the less severe, warning signs that your body is giving off, telling you, hey, something's wrong, we're not in sync, your body's not in sync, it's not balanced, something's not balanced, do something about it. Find the solution, help me so I can help you stay alive longer. And if you ignore those, so then this kind of gets into the aspect of why healing your gut is super important and why you should do it, is because when you ignore those symptoms, or you ignore those warning signs, then it leads to the more severe diseases and illnesses like the leaky gut, or IBS, or arthritis, or cancer, or heart disease and liver disease, right? So those are the most extreme cases in when you've just completely ignored everything else that your body is trying to tell you. So with that being said, that is part one of why you should heal your digestive system. I'm sorry, I think I've been having a really hard time saying that for some reason. It's kind of like a tongue twister for me. So you got a little laugh out of this, because I was struggling. So that's why. I really hope that you found some empowerment and some knowledge behind this. Maybe you knew some of this already and it was just a nice refresher, or it was brand new to you. Whatever it was, I hope you found it helpful. And if you didn't, or maybe you're confused on something and you need me to break it down for you a little bit more, please feel free to message me, email me, get in contact with me. I would love to talk about this with you a little bit more. Like I said, I love this stuff. I love talking about it. I love everything about it. I love learning about your body and how it works. I personally think that this is such a foundational piece that goes on top of this whole thing that we're doing here of healing your gut, or healing the symptoms that you're having. So next week is going to be part 2, which we're going to talk about your feelings that are associated with the symptoms that you're feeling. So the frustration and the embarrassment and the pain and all of that, right? So thank you so much for watching. Like I said, if you have any questions at all, please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to go over them with you or talk about it a little bit more. All right. Well, I will see you next week. Bye.